Is owning a house cheaper than renting? Well, I'm glad you asked. So, if you watch any of my videos, you know that the true answer is it depends. And why does it depend? Because, first of all, it depends on if we're comparing apples to apples. So, are we renting the same amount of space as what we're purchasing? Because oftentimes that is going to make a huge difference. The other thing that is going to make a huge difference is the area that you're in, right? And what the competition is for rental versus homes, right? Like being able to get into a home. So that's going to make a huge difference, right? The other thing is going to be looking at the overall cost. So not just the principal and the interest payment on buying a house, but the full-blown payment. So taxes, what taxes, what are you paying for taxes, insurance, do you have private mortgage insurance, any of these things? And you have to look at this. And so sometimes rent is more, and you can definitely get in a house for the same amount or less than what you're paying in rent. Sometimes buying a house is more, like the mortgage payment is going to be more. The biggest key here is going to be, again, alignment. It's going to be really stepping back and understanding, number one, what your actual goals are. Are we interested in the possibility of equity, right? Building some equity or whatever, getting some potential tax breaks, because there are some aspects of owning a home where you can potentially get some deductions on your taxes, depending on how you're filing, because I'm definitely not the tax expert there. There is the fact that nobody can tell you what to do with your house. So what I mean by that is if you decide to paint the walls inside purple, no one can say, well, you can't do that. Whereas a landlord, that is the case, right? There's also going to be the cost of fixing. So you own a house, you're the one responsible for fixing things that break or dealing with these kind of things, versus if you're a renter, that's your landlord's responsibility, unless your lease says otherwise. So you're going to them and you're saying, hey, this broke, I need you to fix it. And so there's a lot of aspects and things that people need to understand when they're looking at like rent versus own. I would say the bigger aspects need to be asking yourself about alignment, about, are we looking for not just the money aspect, but like how long are we going to be there for? Like what's our goal? What's our motivation for wanting to own a home? Are we going to consider having roommates? Like there's so many different pieces that are going into this puzzle. And so the pure math might say that it makes financial sense, but if it is not in alignment with what you want, I'm going to encourage you not to buy the house. Whereas the opposite is true. If you have fear, but it is in alignment with your goals, and you're just so afraid that it's not all going to go according to plan, that you're going to end up in a bad situation or whatever, right? Then all you can do is educate yourself to a level where you feel comfortable as you can possibly be, and then go ahead and pull the plug. Go ahead and push in that direction, because it's in alignment with your goals. It's in alignment with what you want and your intention and how you want to live your life. And so I think so many people are looking this from purely dollars and cents. And yes, you need to understand the math, because if you are getting a huge savings on buying a house from what your rental payment was, or vice versa, you're a huge amount that you're paying more than what your rent is, then yeah, I mean, it absolutely makes sense for you to question those numbers and understand and see if that is in alignment. But so many people, they're purely looking at it as well, this is cheaper than this, so this is the like, I should just do the cheaper one. Well, not necessarily, right? I mean, think about when you buy a new car. Do you always buy the cheapest car? Do you always want to go after the cheapest payment? I mean, some people do. And if that's in alignment with what they're looking for and how it fits into their life, then by all means, buy the cheapest car with cheapest payment.
Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsors.
Welcome to Financial Mastery Simplified, your go-to podcast for making smart money decisions. We break down complex financial topics into easy-to-understand advice you can use every day. Our experts cover everything from budgeting and saving to investing and retirement planning. We give you the tools to take control of your money and build the future you want. With Financial Mastery Simplified, you'll feel informed and empowered to make the best choices for your financial health. Tune in to Financial Mastery Simplified on your favorite podcast platform. Start your journey to financial confidence today.
Visit us at fms.tips and fms.college for more information.
Welcome to House U, where we believe in the power of education. At House U, we're more than just a brand. We're your partner in home ownership, dedicated to educating, equipping, and empowering you every step of the way. Education is at the heart of everything we do. We offer comprehensive resources designed to make home ownership simple and accessible for all. From understanding mortgage options to mastering home maintenance, House U provides the knowledge you need to make informed decisions with confidence. We host workshops and seminars, bringing together experts and community members to share insights and build a stronger, more informed community. Because when you're educated, you're empowered. House U, home ownership made simple for all. Visit our website or contact us today to start your journey with House U. Empower yourself with knowledge and embrace the joy of home ownership.
Thanks for your patience. Now back to our conversation.
But this is, again, stepping back and asking ourselves hard questions, living with intention and ensuring that we're of the mind that we're making the right decisions. Because if you listen to one of my podcast episodes on Financial Mastery Simplified, I had a gentleman where we talked very specifically about his homeownership journey. I think actually that was on his podcast, but we talked about his homeownership journey and how he bought like a $60,000 house and his payment was like nothing. It was like $600 a month all in, and he lost it in foreclosure. Well, why did he lose it? It wasn't because the payment was that crazy. Okay. That wasn't why he lost it. He lost it because he wasn't in alignment. He had no idea what he was doing or why he was making decisions or how he wanted to use that to further his financial mastery. Like, he had no clue. And so the challenge there is that when we're looking at big financial decisions, especially homeownership, because of what all comes with it, right? Because of the tie we're making to how important our homes are to us, to how much it affects our self-worth, to how much we're having to outlay out of our financial bucket every single month to pay the bill. All of these things, if we're not in alignment, I promise you, you're going to crash and burn. Just like I promise you, you're going to end up being miserable in that rental property that you're renting if you're out of alignment there and you should have been buying a house and you're just holding on due to fear. And so either way, I'm going to push you to think about, does it really matter if the rent payment is more than the mortgage payment or vice versa? Does it really matter? Because I'm going to argue with you that it doesn't. What matters is it in alignment? Can I afford it? Is it going to further my overall goals? And am I making a decision that I made educated and empowered? And if the answers are yes, then the other piece is irrelevant. And yes, we can work out the other piece. I can pencil in the math for you and figure out roughly what it's going to be so that you can determine if, in fact, on its face, rent is more or whatever is more. But remind yourself that there's so many different factors that go into these equations, guys. Like, I'm going to give you a perfect example. So right now we have a little bit of a softening of the market. And with this softening is coming that a lot of other things have been impacted as well, specifically property taxes. So for those of you who have never watched me before, I live in Texas and I do mainly loans in Texas. I do them other places, but mainly in Texas. And Texas, we have fairly high property taxes. That is something that we have fairly high property taxes. And whereas if you are a primary residence homeowner, you get some homestead protection, which can kind of help keep your property tax a little bit on the lower side. If you are an investor, you do not have this protection. And so whatever those increases are that are happening every year, you're taking them with basically zero protection. And so what we have seen is that there is a lot of landlords out there. They're either dumping their properties or they are lowering their rent because they're just in a position where, fiscally speaking, it's not really making much sense. But I promise you, they're not doing these things. They're not lowering rents or doing these adjustments for the goodness of you. Once the market starts bearing more rent amount, more, higher amounts and stuff, and everything starts going a little bit bonkers again, guess what, baby? They're not going to just out of the goodness of their heart say, oh, well, I just really like Jax, so I'm just not going to charge her more. I mean, maybe you're going to find that landlord. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's unlikely. And so that's, again, where the mortgage piece, I will tell you, does usually carry a little bit more stability. is your usual increases are coming from taxes and insurance on your payment at that point. And although you do not get to control those things, you're paying insurance on your rental anyway. At least you are in Texas. It's actually mandated. It's you have to have it. You have to have renter's insurance. And then the property taxes, again, your landlord is likely going to be kicking on those costs to you. And so sometimes rent will be a better choice for a little while, but not necessarily always long term. And if you are a long term renter, because I have some people like that, they just don't have a desire to own their own home, just insulate yourself for it, right? Know that renting is the right choice for you. And make sure that you are insulating that decision. There is plenty of ways to do that, right? You can figure out what the average rental increase is per year over the last decade or two. And then you just work that into your budget and know that that is what that is going to look like. Right. And so, because there's a lot of people out there that argue that owning a home is a horrible decision. I personally don't think any decision is a horrible decision. I just think that there's misaligned decision. And I personally believe that you, in your own head and your own heart, you know what those decisions are, the right ones and the wrong ones. And if somebody is trying to sway you one way or the other, that's the mistake, I think. So yes, rent versus own, what you do with that, that is your business. But I do want to let you understand and know that sometimes it's one way and sometimes it's the other. And really the real choice is alignment and deciding what it is that you want to look like and what you want to do.